Hello guys, my name is hnggngngn and today I will show you how I painted this knight in this orthographic views. So this allows me to get a little bit more technical with a drawing. So for example, if I would later would like to model it or transfer it to someone who would model it in 3D program, using these views it will be way easier than using a drawing that is in perspective. But first, before I will show you how I did this knight, I would like to explain to you what exactly orthographic view is and how to approach it and how to understand it. So I will do this basing on these two solids. Basically it's one solid but rotated slightly on the side so you could see it a little bit better. So in this case I will show you how to translate this solid into three different views that will allow you to understand, hopefully better, how to draw things using orthographic view that basically is a view without any kind of a perspective. So starting, having a cube with 3 different sizes, actually this cube has 6 different sizes, but we usually only need 3 different views to represent a solid. Sometimes it might get a little bit complicated and you might need 6 solids, but in this case 3 will be just enough. So we got this red surface, that is our front, our blue surface, that is our side, and our green surface, that is our top view. And if we would like to represent this object to the squares, like we will take this and basically look at it from the front without any kind of a perspective, we would only see a square. And if we will mark the edges, basically it will look a little bit like this. So in the A view you can see the whole red square, you can see the edge of the top, and you can see the edge of the side view. So we name them A, B and C. And if we would like to look at this solid from the perspective, so like from the front, in this case we could see the back if it will be open, or the bottom, depending how do you look at this solid, and we will see it in perspective. So the back piece of this solid will be smaller because it's farther away, and if we would rotate it some kind and change the field of view a little bit, so for example it could look like this. And one thing before we start drawing this solid into the views that needs to be explained is projecting of the lines on the edges, because sometimes basically the same basically the very different line can be projected on an edge, giving exactly the same result. So if you would like to project this like straight line, this wobbly line and this zigzag something line to the red edge, basically treating it like a side of a solid, so it could represent our side of a B side of a solid. After projecting all these lines to the red edge, so basically creating a view from the red edge, we would basically from all these 3 samples got exactly the same result. So like straight line, wiggly line will all give our a straight line if we would look at them from the front just by seeing only one edge. And if now we would like to draw this solid into the views, what really is interesting in this is actually trying to imagine how the edge would project on a surface you want to draw on. So we will start with a front with our side A. So the first thing I can notice is in the 1.5, 1, 2, there's a point where all the like main points meet. So if I would like to draw this triangular shape at first, I will try to project it imagining this in here. So this edge, like the middle edge that is slanted, will go like this, as you can see. Our bottom edge we clearly can see, so it will go like this. Side edge basically is the same situation as here, as in the example number 1. So this will be the 1, this will be the 2, this will be the 2, and this will be the 3, and the top edge and the left edge. As you can see, this solid here is like bended, it has this arc that makes it really like flat, so there's no edge at all. And in this case, this solid basically translates as a rectangle in here. So as you can see, from the front we basically have two rectangles. So if we would like to draw this solid only knowing its front view, it will be pretty much impossible because you have not enough information to draw it properly. That's why we usually need more than one view to create a solid. Usually one view is only enough to create only a plane, but after adding a side view, we basically will have enough information to create this solid, but the top view will also help. So usually having like 3 views is pretty much enough. So from the side, as you can see, we can see the diagonal line that is going from the corners, so it will give us this shape, the edge of the solid, the bottom part of the solid, and we can see that the arc is roughly starting at 1.5 and ending in 1.5 of our view. So if I would like to approach drawing it, it will basically look a little bit like this. And now the tricky part, to draw an arc, and it could be better, but I guess you can understand how it looks. So basically from the side we can see these edges, and of course some edges are overlapping. So for example, this edge and this edge from the view B side, from this view, are overlapping, but in this case we won't draw them because it's kind of not necessary to understand the solid. And from the top view, basically the view will look exactly the same as in the side A, because as you can see, this triangular shape will project to the top basically as a straight line to the edge. So every single edge in here will project as a straight line, and the same for this soft shape, rounded edge shape, it will translate like this. So in this case you basically have 3 different views that allow you now to draw this solid, knowing only the technical drawing. And the thing is a little bit more interesting when we would like to draw something like this, because as you can see, we only now have 2 views. So it's a view A, so it's a front view, and it's a side C, so it's our top view. And if we would combine these views, we basically will get nothing else like a cylinder that is as wide as it's tall. So the idea in here is pretty easy. In this case you only need 2 views to represent a solid, but if you would like to make it a little bit more technical, you can always draw a bounding box around our object, and later you can translate it to the views. We could add the B view or the back view or the side view or the bottom view, but in this case it will all be squares and it all will be circles. So it's again getting a little bit more interesting when we are trying to draw tilted geometry. So in this case it will be again a cylinder that is basically slanted to the side or put on this edge. And in this case, if we would like to draw it views, so like we have a side view, because we can imagine that the cylinder from the side that is tilted without any kind of a perspective will basically be a rectangle, and after translating its main points, its height, and like the endings of the circular shape, we basically will get something like this. So if there will be a perspective, we will get this kind of a view, but because there is no perspective, the ellipse on the bottom and on the top is exactly the same in size, because in geometry they are the same in size, so in a technical drawing they will also be the same in size, so they don't increase the closer they are to us. And basically the same thing happens when you tilt the cylinder a little bit more. It will cause the front view be a little bit shorter, and it will cause our frontal ellipse to be a little bit bigger, closer to the circle. And basically the last thing that you pretty much that can help you understand how to approach this kind of a thing is this drawing, where you can see we have a pretty simple solid, but if you would like to create a views for it, you can also approach it this way. So you can try to imagine what kind of holes in a box you will need to push this solid through all the holes. So as you can see in the bottom, we need something like a pill shape. So basically it's the top view of this solid. We only will have an edge also in here that will represent the top part of our solid, so it's the only thing that is missing. From the side we basically will have some sort of a trapezius, and basically from the front and from the side we will have something that is a triangle. So if you would have problems understanding this method of drawing, this thing is also working pretty well, but in this case we are projecting to the back side, not to the front side like in this method. So I guess there you have it. I think it explains the orthographic view pretty well. It's not really that hard to understand. It sometimes might get a little bit tricky, and sometimes the geometry might look kind of weird and dumb in orthographic view, but as soon as you will model it and turn on the perspective, pretty much it will look alright. So if you will have any further questions, please ask them in the comments, write to me on my Facebook page or something. Just don't feel yeah, basically if you have any questions, just ask me. And the last thing, it's pretty funny, a small little illusion. As you can see, these small squares, I had to move the middle one and the right one a little bit up, so they will look like they are on the same height, and as you can see they are not. So a cool small little illusion. So yeah, and now I will show you how I painted the knight I showed you previously. So enjoy watching and subscribe and like the video and all the other stuff. So thanks.